Hello, welcome back to episode 2. So, I've gotten like some feedback that this isn't as structured as it should be. But forgive me for that because right now I'm just like playing around and I'm just trying to like get the momentum going and everything. So I'm just like uploading my first couple of videos just to get a feel of what it's like, how to use like YouTube and everything. What recording application should I use? How long would it take for me to go through um my trades and everything? So I'm gonna try to keep it more structured. So for today, I'm gonna go through, review the trades which we've entered and exited, and we're not gonna dwell on it too long, but we're gonna take a look at the results and possibly why maybe we shouldn't have taken the trade, um, or whether or not I would have taken the trade still in hindsight, and look at some of the new trades that I've placed for today. Not many trades being placed today. We have only three currency pairs which I've chosen. And I've kind of realized that I didn't really talk about like the main reason why I choose certain trades and like why I decide that like whether I want to buy or sell. So let's take a quick look and review yesterday's trades first. So I mean, first of all, just make sure that whenever you're trading and doing stuff like this, the money you're using for this is money that like you're prepared to lose. So my account capital was started off around like 500, so I'm ready to lose this 500 um to experiment if this strategy would work. So to me, the emotional baggage to this is not as much, um but down the line, if I do increase my capital, at the end of the day it will still be money that I'm more or less mentally ready to lose. I think this is the best way to kind of look at it, um at least in the testing phase. Once you've become confident enough that your strategy works in the long term, then of course you can start to bump up your capital and trade along with the rules of your system. So yesterday we lost $10 in actually a very short span of time, in a couple of hours really. So let's look at the first Aussie JPY, Aussie yen. So okay, so yesterday we took this trade at this point, right? So okay, now this was one of the situations which I was describing yesterday, which is that the spread may take you out of the trade, even though the charts reflect that you would have taken profit for this trade. So in this case, if you see the zone that I've had along with the buffer, it would have been a win. And in fact, it would have been a 2:1 win if I took this trade with a take profit of 2:1. But obviously, the price reached really close to our stop loss, and the spread probably took us out of the trade. So if we look at where 93.662, yep, so definitely the spread took us out of this trade. If I look at the ask price, oh no, in this case it will be bid price, yes. But it's gonna take super long to load. Take a look. Yeah. Okay, so painfully after loading this for about like 5 minutes, we can finally see the bid chart. And in fact, we got stopped out really by a little bit, which is a waste, honestly. Because honestly, I could have put a bigger zone for this. And in fact, I should have looked at the 15-minute chart to set my zone. So in hindsight, maybe in the future, I would start to test if like maybe placing my zones on the 15-minute chart might be better. On the mid chart, this price might reflect the full amount, but because changing between the bid ask and mid price takes so long, usually I would just like increase my exit or my stop loss just a bit more than the zone size. So that's something to take note of. So actually for this trade, I would kind of count it as a win. But yeah, we learn, right? So I'm gonna talk about the next currency which we got stopped out on, USD CAD. It's gonna take a while to load, so I'm gonna just pause the recording right here and come back in like a couple of minutes. Yeah, so back on the previous currency, the Aussie yen, we can see that the zone actually, we actually filled like the zone, the entire zone. We actually chose the entire zone from week to week. Yeah, but maybe in the future we could probably accommodate and give it like a slightly bigger stop loss. Maybe instead of 20%, it could be 30%. But for now, we'll stick to 20% and see how many of those trades work out before we decide to increase that stop loss. If we notice this trend a lot, then we would probably want to consider increasing the stop loss to 30% instead of 20%. Okay, the other trade that we took was this trade, USD CAD, which I think I've deleted the zone. So give me a sec to find it back. Yeah, so we actually took this zone on a 5-minute time frame. And we actually got stopped out again, probably by the spread. So as we can see, like over here, this was the price which the trade got executed, like which our stop loss got executed on, and that's exactly this price. So I'm not gonna take the time to go and like change the charts to the ask price, but at least we know that the strategy is holding some sort of water, because look at how for both of these zones the price actually went in the direction that we wanted, and it didn't like blow past that zone. See, like over here, if we had expanded our stop loss by another 10%, we would probably have stayed in the trade, taken our 1-to-1 profit. And similarly for the Aussie yen, like I mentioned, if we expanded our stop loss, we would have taken our profit 1-to-1, in fact 2-to-1, and it's even the same for USD CAD, right? It has hit our 2-to-1. So from what I understand, we are touching on something that works, or at least kind of works. So this this actually has been a trend I've been observing for like the past couple of months as well. Whenever I get stopped out of a trade, it's either it blows way past, but more often than not, it kind of like gets really close to the stop loss on the mid price, and because of the spread, I get stopped out. So let's move on to today's trades that I've placed. So for today, I've placed three trades on 3 different currencies. The first one is the Euro Aussie. So I'm going to try to keep it more structured with the thinking and everything. Yeah, and do feel free to try to like poke holes in it and everything. Because I'll be more than happy to try to answer your questions. If my logic is unbreakable, then it stands, it holds more water. So right now we can see that for this long-term time frame, generally it seems like it's a sideways trend with a slight trend towards the downside, because we can see a lower high over here, right? Lower highs, even though the lows are roughly around the same as of now, right? Generally, the longer term trend is upwards, is a uptrend, but if we're looking at the current trend, then there's a chance that it might break to the downside, and hence I'm selling. So After that, I moved to a shorter time frame, a lower time frame chart to look at the zones. And out of all the zones I've seen, this is the one I like the most. And once again, it's characterized by this dynamic of a battle between the demands and the supplies, right? The constant moving back and forth in the band, indicating there's supply here, and there's demand constantly trying to push back. However, supply prevails and price moves away. So I know that you think like, oh, if this is the case, then why don't we pick like something like this or like something like this, where like this whole entire zone like wiggles around this band. And yeah, maybe on a certain level those zones may work too. Like for example, here we see a wiggle around this band and then the price touches this point and goes. But for me, I prefer to pick zones that are further away from price. Well, in this sense it's always subjective, but this is to me like far away enough. And so yeah, I've picked this zone because I like it. I like to see the battle, and supply didn't budge at all. In fact, it went even lower. Yeah, so we'll review this trade tomorrow. The other one is New Zealand CAD, NZD CAD. So in this case, I chosen a buy decision because of the strength of the currency now, or the currency pair. We can see it's very aggressive. Price is moving very aggressively towards the upside. So ideally, I don't want to short this. If I do want to short this, then I would short somewhere higher. So for these zones, they also tend to work on higher time frames as well. And also, in some sense, I could say that on the 4-hour chart, this could be considered a zone as well. But that is valid for a 4-hour chart. So usually, if I want to short, I might find a short position somewhere in here, but I will go to a lower time frame to look at the charts to see if they are even nice, if the zones look good on the lower time frame. And also this would allow me to kind of take a look at potentially where the price might start to reverse. So if I want to take my profit, I want to take it before price ever touches this point. And see, this zone again is characterized by a similar trade, which is the battle of the demands and supplies, moving up and down. And then price decides to move away from the zone. So hence I've chosen this zone as my point of interest. So reason why I chose this, because it's an uptrend. Reason why I chose to buy is because it's an uptrend, higher lows. So, and also because of this strong aggressive move to the upside. You see this, right? So yeah. Moving on to the next trade. NZD JPY. So it's quite obvious right now that it's a start of a downtrend, because previously, if we negate this portion, if we don't look at like how price has reacted so far, it was an uptrend. However, we can see that it has broken the low, two lows in fact. So in actual fact, right now, in actual reality right now, we are looking more towards shorting because it's more skewed towards a downtrend. Of course, we'll never know in trading. We'll never know in financial instruments, or at least I don't. So we always want to make an educated and like a guess that is like more probable. So the zone I've picked is this zone. Again, it's always characterized by kind of the same kind of traits, which is the battle of demand and supply. See, at this point there's demand, but supply doesn't budge at all, and price moves away. Honestly, out of all the zones, I don't like this the most, but typically because I think on the 15-minute chart it looks a lot better. Yeah, and also because at this point, if you think about it, like this area was somewhat of significance before. So because this zone or the amount of supplies or the amount of supply orders here caused a break through this area of so-called um, support. So this zone kind of like is being taken more into consideration. I mean, there are possible zones lower, but these have already broken. But honestly, at this point in time, if we try to consider any other trades that we would have taken, it would probably be in hindsight because yeah, at this point it would kind of be counted a not really a downtrend yet because this isn't exactly a low. It's not really a point. It's just like wiggling around. I would count this as a low, kind of like a point. So yeah, so this trade was taken because of the current aggressive move downwards and the start of a downtrend because it has broken a low. So I'm taking it as the trend now is a downtrend, hence I'm looking more to short than to long. In fact, some of the zones, okay, yeah, not really. I was gonna say that some of the zones for a buy decision seems to be kind of nice, but really on the 5-minute chart, it looks like a lot of noise. It just looks like a lot of noise. There's no like actual strong move away. Okay, this looks kind of nice. But I'm not gonna place an order for this because right now, going with what the trend says, I'm probably gonna short. And of course, if at this point, if price comes back down and then goes back up, then what is this trend now? It would be an uptrend. And if that's the case, I might reconsider having this position here. But since we are taking a 1:1, there is still a chance that price would touch and react to it before moving higher. Okay, so that's all for today. We'll review these trades tomorrow if we get into any. But as of now, it doesn't seem like we're gonna enter any trades for tonight and on or tomorrow either. But we don't know how the market will be tomorrow. And usually trades on Fridays are kind of erratic, and also I don't want to hold my trade over the weekend because of the financing cost. So ideally, I wouldn't want to get into a trade over the weekend, but if we do, we'll take a look at how it goes. Okay, well, peace out, and I'll catch you tomorrow.